Evening, call to order the Town of St. John Plan Commission public meeting for April 16th, 2025. Would invite all that are able to stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get the roll call, please?
Joe Gomez-Stagel.
Present.
Rudy Bambick.
Present.
John Gill.
Here.
Russ Vogel.
Here.
Justin Esther.
Present.
Paul Emschway.
Present.
Ashley Abernathy present. Adam Decker.
Present.
John Dykstra.
Here.
Bill Manifapoulos is currently absent.
Okay. Agenda item 4 minutes. The first up is the March 19th, 2025 public meeting minutes. I assume everybody's had the chance to review them. Any questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 19th, 2025 public session meeting minutes as posted.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Emschway. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, what are we, 8-0? 7-0. 7-0. I don't math well. It's okay. Item B, the April 2nd, 2025 study session.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 2nd, 2025 study session.
Second. Motion by Mr. Vogel, second by Mr. Gomez-Stagel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved. Excuse me. Agenda item number 5, public hearing. Item A, 2025-04, the Gates of St. John, Units 32 through 40, proposed primary plat for residential development located east of Blaine Street between 93rd Avenue and 101st Avenue, LBL Development. Good evening, Mr. Kill.
Good evening, everybody. In front of you, I provided everybody with an 11 by 17 copy of the primary plat. It's a little bit easier to follow along when we're talking, so hopefully you guys will find this useful. Again, we have on the whole north side of the property, we have age-restricted single family. We go down in the center of the property. On the second page, you'll find where there's townhomes, and then on the bottom of the property that eventually front on 101st, we'll find more single-family homes down there. There is detention located throughout the development itself. All the stormwater will flow into the ditch that's there. And this is consistent with all the other discussions we've previously had with this. It is in accordance with the annexation agreement, and everything should be in order, with the exception of, I had a conversation with Ashley, some engineering issues that are outstanding. So at this time, I know that I'm going to be requesting a deferral tonight. I'll let Ashley go ahead and explain more into that. There are certain, beyond anybody's control, there's certain engineering issues that are still outstanding, so it's not ready for a vote tonight. So I will be asking for a deferral, but
Okay.
I will let Ashley go ahead and explain all that and answer any questions right now if anybody has any.
First off, we'll just let the minutes reflect that the town manager has arrived for the meeting. Ms. Abernathy, go ahead.
So earlier today, we received an engineering review from the engineer reviewing this project for the town, which is McAlpine Consulting. There is a compiled list of a grand total of 38 engineering comments that need to be addressed. Due to the amount of comments, it would be wise to defer this item at this time, get most of these engineering comments buttoned up, down to a couple handful that are more ministerial in nature versus some ones that are based off of stormwater, some ones that are based off of setback building lines, items like that. That way it's all kind of more finalized by the time the Plan Commission actually makes a vote.
Okay. Questions, comments, anyone?
Was it phase 1 and 3 are going to be 55 older and
That's the age-restricted part, yes. That single family is going to be age-restricted 55 and over community.
and this phase 2 on the bottom, Steve?
Phase 2 will not be age-restricted. Phase 2 will be traditional, just single family, anybody can purchase it. There is no age restriction on the south half, no.
That was in accordance with their annexation agreement, was that 12 homes were allowed to be single-family traditional. The rest of the development is all age-restricted. 455 townhomes and
34.
134 single-family.
Yes. And you'll notice there's phase 1 and phase 3 on top because you only can do so many age-restricted units at one time. So phase 1 on the top, phase 2 on the bottom, then move right back to phase 3 for the age-restricted single-family. So hopefully give it time to infill a little bit before we go to the second phase of the single-family, which is part of the development is phase 3 of overall development.
Is there any, I'm not going to hold you, is there any timeline for the engineering stuff to get worked out, or?
Yes, I'm going to request a 1-month deferral. All these items, after speaking with the engineers, both of them today, they indicate that everything should be worked out within a week, about a week and a half. So that will be in plenty of time in advance of the next Plan Commission meeting to get this list pared down. Some of the items, again, the letter was just dated today, so I didn't have a whole great deal of time to dig into every one of them. But again, we have about a week and a half.
Will you,
Not just engineering time, but review time as well.
are you contemplating coming back for the next study session then to see where we're at, or
If you would like, sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to.
maybe just touch base and see? That's May 7th, I think,
May 7th, yes.
and then the regular meeting we defer to would be May 21.
Yes.
Then do you need to renotice for the hearing as well?
No, I would request that you open the public hearing tonight. It's been advertised. Everything's been posted. All the adjacent property owners' letters have gone out. So I believe, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, it would definitely be appropriate to hold the public hearing tonight, as all the notifications have been sent out.
Yeah, the public hearing is appropriately noticed, and if it's deferred tonight, we don't have to do any form of re-advertisement.
Okay, just making sure we're buttoned down as far as that goes. All right, any questions, comments from the panel before I open it up?
Just to let the Plan Commission know, from a staff review point, all staff comments have been addressed by the most recent submittal as just getting those engineering comments addressed.
That'd be police and fire and,
Police has been addressed, fire's been addressed, my internal staff review comment has been addressed, so at this point in time, it is just gonna be engineering.
okay.
The primary plat in front of you will not change. Just answering the engineering questions.
Subject to that, yeah, I got you.
Right.
So I just have had a chance to look through the plat and the drawings since the study session, and forgive me for now being able to get into the detail of it. Phase 2, the single-family attached, those lots seemed significantly narrower than, I guess also phase 4, phase 5, than phase 3 and phase 1, but I can't actually read that with.
Well,
What is
if you look at phase 4 and phase 5, which you're referring to, those are the townhomes.
Yes,
Those are attached units.
Yes.
So these are detached. That's why you'll see there's one lot and there's going to be 4 units in a building. Some have 5, some have, I mean, they're different sizes, all of them.
okay,
So they're a typical townhome unit, and there's a lot of private drives here, which is typical for that type of housing. So that's why and again, the scale's not real large on what I gave you,
yeah.
but that's why it looks a little smaller to you.
Well, yeah, it was.
Obviously it is, but
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the scale is small because it's a large plat. I'm more of, I couldn't read the dimension on the lot. That's why I was asking.
oh, like I said, it depends on what the number of units in the buildings are.
Okay.
I mean, anywhere
Or
from
like,
100
or how
feet
about a
wide to-
range? How about that? That would,
The range is anywhere from 50 foot to 100 foot
okay,
with units on that particular lot.
okay,
So the 50 units will have 4 units. The 50-foot wide will have 4 units, 100-foot wide, 8.
okay.
So it just depends on how many units per building that we're talking about.
Okay, I just really wanted to get like a range. Thank
Correct,
you. I
yes.
appreciate that. Thank you. And I guess I counted for the thoroughfare, main thoroughfare, I counted one in and out, or two essentially exits from the development, two major thoroughfares. Is that correct?
We have one access point on 93rd to the north, that is correct. And we also have one on 101st to the south. If you look throughout the development, we have stubbed a number of roads to the east and to the west.
Right, to the unincorporated, I believe?
Right. Unincorporated over to the west is basically, the roads are stubbed to the Lake Central High School, or Lake Central School Corporation property. To the west, to the east then, it's private individual landowners. And then next to that would be the Lures Tree Farm, which the town of Sherrville currently has a petition for development. So it's likely everything, we're trying to work with everybody to make sure we tie everything in as it all comes in.
Okay.
So that's why you see these stubs strategically kind of located where they are.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, but that, now I understand.
No, there's a great deal of thought that went into it. so
I'm
yes.
sure that there was a great deal of thought that went into this. You wouldn't just put a road there for
No.
no reason. And then I believe during the study session, you mentioned that this entire development was planned for possibly decade of, at least.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah. And I was wondering, with the rate of residential growth that we've had in St. John over the past couple of years, how you see that matching up?
Well, we are certainly taking into account the utilities, and at the study session, I think we had a good conversation about that. So as far as that goes, the town is keeping up with the growth quite well as far as utility infrastructure and things like that nature, so that shouldn't be a problem. We are able to treat and pump more water than we need right now, so we're in good shape. 10% more capacity purchased from Sherrville for wastewater treatment. So those things are in process right now.
Yeah,
And we're, so
because I know the water is a huge concern, but I know that we have the numbers to be able to accommodate.
we have the numbers to back it up, yes.
Okay. Those were just my questions just from looking at the drawings. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
One more thing, Steve. I know that you talked with Mike Boltema about it. We're not gonna have dead ends here at these going into Lake Central property, are we?
No, we're going to be looping the.
You're gonna loop
the water.
everything?
Yeah, we're gonna have no dead ends in the water main system, so no, the water system's all gonna be looped, so we can avoid all the dead ends.
Okay.
That is correct.
Questions, comments, anyone else? All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Mr. Kelly, you can have a seat. This is the
No presentation? The developer doesn't have to give a presentation first? What he's proposing?
he has.
That was his presentation?
If you want to come up to the mic and state
Let me
your name.
open the public hearing, Mr. Blocker, and then you can come up. Just give me 1 second. So with that now, we're going to open up the public hearing. Members of the public are invited to come up and speak for or against the project, ask questions. Mr. Kill will then have the opportunity to come back up after that and address them. So with that, Mr. Blocker, if you'd like to come up, please. Just need your name and address for the record, please.
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane, St. John. I at least expected a presentation by this developer. You got neighbors here and everything else. What's going on? There's nothing. Oh, we got a little map on the road. Doesn't explain anything. It's unreal. I'm not even sure why we're even here though. Because, with LBL development projects, the town really doesn't care what the residents have to say. It's just what Mr. Lawton wants. Look at the East Gates project 6 years ago. This room was standing room only with people objecting to the plan for that. Town listened? Nope. Approved it with 45 and 50-foot wide single-family lots. 7th Avenue and Park Place. That property was originally designed for 77 townhouses. Mr. Lawton wanted 120. The town gave it to him. 109th and White Oak Avenue, the 40 acres. He had the neighbors there objecting to the density that was proposed. Mr. Kill got up here, gave you some erroneous calculations as to why you should have 116 units. Hey, town didn't care. Proved it anyhow, even though it was 40 more units than what the ordinance really allowed. Route 231 in Parrish, you had an entire subdivision next door to it, objecting for the town taking commercial property and rezoning it for high-density townhomes. Town listened? Nope. Proved it. And then they said, you know what? Let's take the taxpayers' money and pay for his water mains, sewer mains, and road improvements. What's the estimated infrastructure cost? $6.5 million that we're paying this developer to put in his improvements? It's unreal. And now you come here, holding your public hearing, for what? Mr. Lawton already did a backdoor agreement with the town board to get it approved under a pre-annexation agreement. So no matter what any of us say, or no matter what you say, the project's already approved. I think that stinks. You got a half mile down the road, you had Olthoff Homes here. I think it took about 2 years to get the plan pretty well approved. Went into the town board 2 months ago. They rejected the PUD plat and said, we don't want duplexes in this area. We want larger lots, 80 by 140. We want more landscaping. We want more road improvements. Okay, that's great. Yet this guy's allowed, what, 455 townhouse units? It's a half mile away on 101st Street. What's going on? You got PUD. There should have been a presentation showing what he's proposing. PUD guidelines show you need to have elevation drawings, front and back. You should have building designs. You should have landscape plans. You should have road improvement plans. Where are they? There are none. I think Olthoff Homes got criticized for that and had to come back and have more landscape plans and everything else. This developer, it's Lawton, he doesn't have to do it. When you look at the project, you got the age-restricted area, which he says, oh, it's going to be the same thing as Orchard Gates. It's going to be the same as Sterling Gates. It's not. You got setbacks that are smaller. Orchard Gates, you got 6-foot side yard setbacks. Here there's 5 foot. Rear yard setbacks in Orchard Gates are 25 feet. Here there's 20. Why? Oh, so you probably cram more units into it. The 12 lots on the south side. Again, they wanted Olthoff Home to have 80 by 140 lots. You don't have 80 by 140 lots here. I think you got 80 by 125 or something like that. So why does this developer get smaller lots than the other developer? And then based on the guidelines or the annexation agreement and the detached single-family homes, you're allowed 1,600 square foot units. So people's going to say, well, that's okay for the age restricted because they're going to be ranch units, smaller units for 2 people or so. What about the ones that aren't age restricted? I think your R2 ordinance says 1,900 square feet minimum. Well, he doesn't have to follow that. Well, I said you're going to put it in your PUD agreement that it has to be. But on the annexation agreement, he could put 1,600 square foot units in. Where's the elevations? How are those buildings going to be designed? Don't worry about it. It's going to be reviewed by an architectural review committee, which is who? Mr. Lawton, not you guys. So Mr. Lawton's going to say, oh, yeah, that's fine, you can put it in. No matter what kind of housing it is. Whether or not it has brick, no brick, stone, it doesn't matter, because it'll be up to Mr. Lawton, unless you guys specify it in your PUD agreement.
Mr. Blocker, you're kind of past the 3 minutes, so if you can just,
Oh, we're limited to 3 minutes?
that's part of the rules, yes. I gave you the courtesy of like 5 or 6 minutes, so.
Fine. Then you should have the developer give a proper presentation, I guess. It's unreal. I mean, Where's the road improvements? Where's the landscaping improvements? I mean, you got over 600 units. Should that main road be a collector, designed as a collector road? Should be. What about the entrances? Are there gonna be right turn, left turn lanes at each entrance? What about perimeter road improvements? Althoff, the town wanted Althoff Homes to fully improve Klein Avenue across their frontage. What's this developer doing? Nothing that I heard. At least he hasn't presented it. I think you should put a roundabout in at 93rd and Blaine and a roundabout at 101st and Blaine at his cost, part of the development. I got concerns with the fire district. I mean, how you fight a fire for these units that front the open area there. There's no road, so you're gonna have a hydrant, and guys are gonna have to drag it between the units, cross the driveway between more units into the front. I think the town should require that all those units be sprinkled in with the residential fire sprinkler system. The landscaping. Does he have a parkway tree plan? Is he gonna put parkway trees in the age-restricted area? Or is he gonna do like he did over at Orchard Gates and Sterling Gates? No parkway trees, we'll put them on the in front yard, on the property line. What's on the property line? The drainage swale. What happens when it rains? Those trees get flooded. I'd say in Orchard Gates, we lost at least a third of the trees that have died because they got flooded. Mr. Lawton doesn't care because he doesn't pay to replace them. Those homeowners did have to. I'm just so, at this point, so disappointed in the town's action that they have taken, especially on this development. It's unreal.
All right, anyone else would like to come up?
Joyce Dittman, 2 T's, 2 N's, 7401 West 92nd Lane, Crown Point, Indiana. My biggest concern is the density of the housing. The area to be built on is approximately 100 acres, and you're planning on putting over 600 housing units in that area, and that's about 6 units per acre. Most subdivisions in St. John have over 4 units per acre. So roughly as a comparison, I live in Tiburon. We have 156 homes in the same area that phase 2, 4, and 5 are in this subdivision, which are those townhomes. 156 homes in my subdivision in the same area. That one is over 500 housing units just in that area alone. The size of the single-family lots, again, I think that's very narrow at 51 at the time. I did send you guys a letter that I'm reading now 2 days ago. Don't know whether you got it. At the time, I was not aware that that was adult or over 55 housing units, and I get those lots are probably smaller. Another concern is that there are only 2 entrances and exits to this subdivision that has well over 600 housing units. And if you consider that each unit has approximately 1.5 cars per unit, that's a potentiality of 900 cars that have only 2 access points. I don't care if he's stubbing into the land to the right, the land to the left. I'm more concerned about one on 93rd and one on 101st. That's 900 cars for 2 exits. Then the potentiality, if people with children buying those townhomes, what those excess students are going to be doing to the school system. I mean, people are complaining that Clark already is filled to the gills. You're putting more people in there, more students. What are you going to do about that? I also want to see that these attached family townhomes, if they're going to be looking like the stuff that's over off of 109th and the Gates, those things look like barracks. And I don't think many people are going to be liking it. There is no green space that you can see there. There is no worry. It's all going to be pretty much basically just driveways and concrete. There's not going to be anything else there. I understand that building does go on, but I am very concerned about the density and the access to these areas. Also, we have issues with the traffic, and the introduction of all these cars onto two-lane roads can't be accommodated because we cannot expand them to a four-lane roads. And it's going to add to a lot of frustrations to these people. Traffic already backs up at the stop signs on 101st and Blaine, and also at 101st and Klein. You're throwing more cars on there. Those people who are going down 101st are not going to slow down for those entrances and exits, whether it's to the one to the north or to the one to the south. I would rather see the town have some type of attempt to fix these problems with these intersections first before allowing these people to build all these housing units. You have roads that are crumbling due to all the trucks, and yet you insist on putting over 600 housing units in here. And what are you doing for the roads? The roads need improvement first before I think you do all this, or at least have a plan to do that. St. John was more of a country feel, but if you're adding this concentration in here, I don't think it's going to work.
Thank you. Mr. Tiverton, real quick before you leave, I do have the letter that you submitted. That
Okay.
I was going to read it.
I just wanted to make sure that you did receive it.
If you weren't going to be here, I was going to make sure I read it into the record, but since you had the opportunity to
Okay.
speak, I assume that's sufficient, yes?
Pardon?
Because you had the opportunity to come and speak, you don't need me to read this letter?
No, it's pretty much basically the same thing.
I just want to make sure, because you did
Yes.
submit this, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is William Dittman. Yes, I am her spouse. This is the document that she came home with that she got from your offices. Now, I had to use a specialized magnifying microscope in order to read some of this. Most of these single attached houses units are 8 units in size. Now, how does one go from the front yard to the backyard without going through the house in a unit like that? But, I would think if you're going to consider that, you might want to consider apartments or condos. But my primary complaint is, well, for one thing, it doesn't mention any age restrictions on this document. Through my magnification, I determined that the lot sizes are around 51 for the most part, at least up here, 51 feet. And that most of these are 8 units. But my overall complaint is a document like this should never have been accepted because it's not readable. I should not have to use a magnifying, dissecting microscope in order to determine information that should be published and readable. Now, I'm not saying readable to everybody, but this isn't readable to normal people. And even one of you complained that you could not read the lot sizes. And if a document does not have that, is not readable to that fact, I don't understand why you would accept it or give it out to the public. Please explain that to me. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paul Sikora, and I live at 9505 Blaine Street in Crown Point. And I'm kind of shocked. I didn't know that this kind of type of development was going to go right behind our house. I have some concerns. I'm going to read them, be respectful of the 3 minutes. Runoff and water and flooding. I have a ditch, the wide portion of the ditch, probably the widest portion of the ditch is in my backyard. Runoff from this development, the concern onto my property. Wildlife impact. I like having all like the animals in my yard and in the farm field. It really adds charm and also value to my property. I have concerns about noise and traffic. I have concerns about strain on local resources such as additional homes could put pressure on local schools, emergency services, and infrastructure. The growth may also impact the quality of services in our community as well. Suggestions for mitigation, because I'm not going to go and just pose a problem without actually coming up with a solution. Erosion control measures, reduce runoff and flooding, try to have retention ponds. I'm not really sure if that is in the plan. This was for units, and I didn't really know what a unit was. I thought there was only 8 units, so I was thinking like only 8 plots. So I was thinking maybe only 8 individual homes, which would be like 5 acres apiece, I think I divided up. But this is quite much more urban than I thought, and doesn't really represent the surrounding neighbors and the plots around it. So it just doesn't necessarily fit in with our current neighborhood. This is going to be incorporated, I believe. So some of the rest of my questions are kind of around that. I'm just keeping into consideration utilities, proper surveys, property taxes, school boundaries, construction timelines, when is this all going to go along? If you could be considerate to any of the neighbors, and maybe if this is going to go through and this is going to happen, you guys are going to have extra dirt, maybe put a berm in or some kind of division or even hard landscape area between the two, between the neighbors that are already there, who have been used to the landscape how it is, and the rest of the neighbors surrounding. Just try to be better communicators other than just, I guess, I need to go and seek out a little bit better information, but also being better communicators other than just a certified mail to the adjoining properties. This is going to go and affect a lot more people around in our neighborhood than just the adjoining properties. That's how I found out this about certified mail. And that's it. Effective communication is key to being a good neighbor, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Kalina, and I live at 7522 West 91st Place, Crown Point in the Tiburon subdivision. I am also concerned about the roads. There has been no infrastructure. We've lived here over 20 years, and if I knew all that, I'm one of those guilty parties that built over there in Tiburon before we were even St. John. So, the schools were great. We had relatives that were in those Lake Central schools, and they were great. So, but if I knew things were going to happen from when we moved in to now, I would have told my husband no. Because there has been no infrastructure in St. John in over the 20 years we have been here on any of the roads. You still have 2-lane roads on Klein, 2-lane roads on 93rd, 2-lane roads on 101st, which you can't even make a left turn over there. The traffic is horrendous. I don't know if anybody has taken to get out at 30 at the roundabout. The traffic is all the way around the roundabout, and this is like at 3 o'clock. This is even in the summer when their schools aren't even in session. All the way around, past the cemetery, just to try to get to 30, because we have 2-lane roads. Indiana is so not proactive on anything with roads. They don't believe in expanding roads, but they believe in building, building, building. The other thing I'm worried about is the schools. Now, we had to have a referendum, I believe it was in 2010, 2011, 12. Who had to pay for the referendum to redo all the schools? We had to vote on it. We as taxpayers have to pay it. They're talking about doing that again because like Joyce said, there's no room at Clark. The kids that are in that Olaf subdivision are going to Grimmer because there's no room. Bibbage had to put on, not your problem, but had to add on 12 classrooms and expand the cafeteria because the kids that were supposed to be going to Bibbage, they couldn't, they have no room. And the problem is too, our governor signed that SB1, I think he signed it today. Lake Central is they're predicting they're going to lose $12.1 million in funds in the next 3 or 4 years. So where are you gonna get all the teachers, the classrooms, cafeteria, staff, when they don't have the money and they're probably gonna be laying off teachers and staff because they don't have the money, because our great state of Indiana decided to cut them again, even though they have how many billions of dollars in surplus? I mean, the state has gotten to be, I always call it the Mississippi of the North. We just need to change the state's name to North Mississippi, because we act like we are that. We don't care about education. We don't care about what people say. And like I said, the roads here are a joke. And then our governor wants to do toll roads. I'm like, for what? 4-lane road at 65 that every day there's a horrific accident there? That road's like a death trap. But I don't understand why you guys keep building. Dyer's doing the same thing in Sherrville, but I have no control of that. But I have told people that I know that way. They need to start attending meetings, because the schools don't have the room. They don't have the resources. They don't have the teachers either. So where are you going to put all these kids? You're going to put 40 kids in a room? 40 kids in kindergarten? I'm sure most of you have kids. Is that what you want for your children too? That's all I have to say, because I even told this gentleman here, I am so glad my kids are through with all that, because I even told my husband, I couldn't deal with his. He told me his were 2 and 4. I said, good luck, because you're going to have 35 to 40 kids. They can't get teachers now, but we're going to expand the schools and get teachers for all these kids they want to put in. And then I heard Olaf wants to put another 500 homes somewhere in St. John. And I'm sure you're going to let them do that. But then you're going to bring it back to us to put another referendum on the taxpayers to expand the schools and act like St. John, Dyer, and Sherrville are the greatest thing ever alive, because we have Lake Central schools. You brag about it. But for them to even do anything, you give them a hell of a time to even put up a sign in front of their schools. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else would like to come up? Second call for any members of the public who'd like to come up.
Lisa Merriman, 6982 West 101st Avenue. I didn't have the courtesy of getting a copy of this, so I would probably the entrance off of 101st, I believe phase 2. Could you explain to me what you're putting there?
XL, diesel lanes.
Homes?
Well, there's going to be a single road of street with homes on one side.
Are those the townhomes or single family?
Single family.
If you've ever driven past there, it's our house and then it's a cow farm. So I don't know how many townhome people or single-family homes are going to want cows in their backyard, just to take in consideration if you drive the neighborhood. Also, I'm a Crown Point address. Will that be affected at all? So I'm unincorporated St. John.
Your mailing address is set by, your zip code, that's set by the federal USPS.
So it won't change at all?
That, yeah, you check with the post office, but it shouldn't be impacted. That's done by the USPS.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else who'd like to come up?
Arvella Campbell, 9413 Blaine Street. Do we know when this is going to start? Do we have an idea?
Actually, could you talk to the timeline? When everything gets done.
Depending on approvals, they cannot start putting infrastructure in the ground until after primary plat. So sanitary, water, sewer, that can't go into the ground until after primary plat is approved. Once primary plat is approved, typically the developer, on a bigger subdivision like this, they don't come back in until they have a substantial amount of that completed, because because before they come in for the final plat, they want to make sure they have the sanitary in, the stormwater in, the water utility in, streets, curb, gutter, items like that, because then they come in, they present that final plat of that phase to the plan commission. It's then reviewed by the engineer for ensuring that what was put into the ground complies substantially with the plan set that was approved at primary with the primary engineering. And then a decision is made by the plan commission. So depending on how quickly infrastructure gets put in, construction schedules, timing of materials to be delivered and installed, from primary plat to final, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months before you would see a final plat back in front of the plan commission. And then after that final plat, probably about another month or two before you start seeing a new home permit. And those are all rough approximates.
So when are they gonna start like really breaking ground and tearing everything up? We have an estimated date. Is that like 4 to 6 months, or is it like next month or next year?
It's gonna depend, when they can start putting infrastructure in the ground is gonna be based off of when they can start installing infrastructure, which is based after primary plat approval, if and when granted. Now, if they wanted to start clearing grass, clearing trees, things like that, somebody could buy a piece of property and cut down trees and grass and all that without requiring anything from the plan commission.
So we have no idea, or if this will go through, or when it might
It's
start.
gonna depend on if and when primary plat approval is granted, and any primary plat approval is gonna be granted in accordance with the primary plat findings of fact, which is set by, state statute.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kill, do you want to explain that now or when you come back up?
This means that we're gonna be lucky to be paving roads by this winter.
Okay.
So this is a lot of work to get the utilities in, the infrastructure, the roads and everything. So, I mean, we could get a bunch of rain like we typically do in the fall that would put us all, we'll be lucky to have a road paved this year. That's what the plan is, but those plans always never.
At the very end of that, so it's in our backyard, you know.
The single
I mean,
family
it's
homes there
literally in our
on the south
backyard.
side.
Yes.
You're talking about the south side?
On the north side.
So, right, so you guys are on basically the west side of the development, right?
That's, yes, correct.
Yeah, they're right here.
Right, okay.
All right. Anyone else who'd like to come up who hasn't spoken already?
My name is Donna Southard. I live at 6811 West 101st Avenue. Where we're talking, I believe, in Phase 4, one of the entrances, the south entrance that is facing my yard, are we having a two-way street there? There's 12 houses going next to the man that lives adjacent to that? Is that correct? Because I'm down here at Phase 2. This is my concern, coming out of the street here, because we only have a two-lane road. How the traffic, if there's gonna be that many homes, 600 homes, and you have two people at a home, that's 1,200 cars going in and out of there. What happens if we have an emergency? Somebody gets in an accident. We've had many accidents on the corner between, on 101st to Blaine, if you know that sharp turn. Many people have died. I lived in my home 39 years. And where this street is coming out is facing my barn. And if there's any kind of accident there, nobody can get down the road. Either way, how is that gonna work for the homeowners with all these people going in and out when there's only two entrances, one on Blaine, one on 101st? My concern is that. My concern is the drainage. My concern is we have septic and well. Are we gonna have to change our land because all this development and have to plug into city water because somebody's developing? Different concerns like that. But my concern is also, there's going to be 12 units or 12 family single homes in between the big farm, the Sawinski farm, and the neighbor. There's gonna be that much obstruction between a road going in and then homes, 12 homes there. That just seems really, whether they're 60 feet, 70 feet, whatever lots they are. My concern is the traffic there, because that's right in front of my house.
Okay.
So, I just want to address that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else who'd like to come up? Going once. Going twice. Third and final call, and with that, public comment for the public hearing is closed. Mr. Kill, if you'd like to come back up.
After hearing a lot of the comments, just so the folks know, 99% of what they're saying I understand, but that's not a plan commission decision or something that's in front of the plan commission. This was all taken care of in front of the town council at annexation time. That's why this is in front of this board right now. All the renderings, all the elevations, everything that you're referring to, Mr. Blocker, which 99% of what you said is inaccurate. The only thing you did say was accurate is that these are about 51 foot wide, these lots. The lot you live on is 49 feet wide. Yes, it is. 49.5, I'm sorry, 49.5. You're absolutely right. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. This was in front of the plan committee, or the town council. This was annexed in. To answer the last lady's question, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry. The town's position, unless it's changed in the town manager's up here, is nobody's required to tie in the utilities. So the fact that you're on well and septic, that's up to you all. You stay on well and septic. This will be on water and sewer though. So there will be a lift station in the center of this development where all the sewage will flow to and then pump to the south, then pump through the gates into an interceptor sewer that goes through Lake Hills. So this is all, we're looking at all that. So there's nothing that's going to affect you all as far as water and sewer. As far as the entrances, we only have the ability to put 2 entrances right now, and that development plan was presented to the town. But you'll notice it was also presented with stubs everywhere in and out of this. So at some point, there will be some property that's going to eventually will be sold. It always is. We've made sure that we are able to tie in anything that sells. And Cherryville, there's the company out of Australia that owns that whole Lures Tree Farm that's just directly to the east. That whole property is in the town of Cherryville, and they're actually in front of the Plan Commission right now. So this is a small part of kind of what's going on there. So there's all those improvements as well, and it's just part of development, I guess. And every time you see one of these basins, this is all detention right here. Every time you see one of these things,
that's detention.
It's all over. So and that's one of the reasons why I'm asking to be deferred, because we haven't got this all worked out. We have permits applied for, the county and everything, but we also are going to be providing compensatory storage in here, which is above and beyond what we typically would need. So I'm fairly acutely aware of this drainage area here, especially where it goes by, and then under Blaine. So that's being looked at very closely, just so you know. And as far as Lake Central goes, have had several meetings with the superintendent. Lake Central student population is declining. So Lake Central is not hurting. They don't have an overpopulation. They were just recently this year taken over by Crown Point as far as the largest high school, or school corporation, I should say. So if you look at their projection, they're projected to decline. And we only have age restricted, which is 55 and over. There are no kids allowed, just so you know. And you don't see typically you don't see a large population of children in the townhomes. It's more younger couples or like that. So, and they're only 2-story, they're not 3-story. So they're more conducive for single people, things like that. So between the age restricted and the townhomes, that's not designed to bring kids in, if you will.
I got a question.
Yes.
You're saying it's declining. Why did Vivage add on 12 classrooms and a cafeteria, and that was just between last year and this year?
If you get on Lake Central's website, you'll see the study, and this is honestly this first time they've actually now are not the most populous school corporation. Crown Point is. So whether you believe it or not, get online and look at it.
Kids at Clark, the ones that are in Olaf have to go to North River, because they cannot put them in there because there's no room.
Well, I don't know about how the districts are, how it's districted,
You kind of worded
but-
it to where you want it to be your way, and I sub in the schools, and I see what's going on there, and I talk to the teachers and the staff. And I'm not sure what Larry Velasco, had to say about that, but I do know, like I said, I've worked in the schools, and this is what they have told me. Pfeiffer is getting to the point where they have no room. So they don't know what they're.
Well, I guess I'm not gonna sit here and debate this
Yeah.
with you, I'm simply.
And that's
telling you what I was-
that's a school board function, so.
Yeah, that's a school board function,
Yeah.
but anyway, the fact of the matter, I guess, is all I want to tell you is that we have sat down with Larry Bracco and went through this. So he knows completely what's coming in. He knows about Cherville. He keeps up with what's going on in the school district. That's the only point I want to try to make, is that he is keeping up with that. So, and then, given the 55 and older, I hope that kind of addresses the concerns. But as far as the number of units, the type units, all that was done during the annexation process and through annexation agreements and everything, Justin, with the town council, and Ashley has gone through great pains to make sure that we meet all those requirements. She has reviewed this thing half a dozen times, and we've gone back and forth over it.
Okay. Questions, comments from anyone else on the panel?
Yeah, I have some questions. You know, you gave us some figures. You said something about the school, which is not our problem right now. It is somehow when it comes down to the density of this area and the population that's going to be coming in. To hear you say that the superintendent told you that it's declining, from you having said that, that's hearsay, and that's not. I wouldn't bank on that. First of all, because I did a population projection figures to the year 2030, which I won't be around probably, but all the way to 2025, figuring out from the census. So when you say that St. John is growing at a faster rate and the school is getting populated more, so stop right there, please. Because you could take my word and take it to him, and then we could start to have a debate with our research. Those are facts, okay? That's one. When we're looking at this kind of a project, and you have 2 exits, 2 entrances, and then you have 36 items that have not been addressed, and we just got notice of them today, I have my gut feeling is just, you're not ready for this for May 21st. I think the people need to know all the facts, all the things that they asked you. I believe in what they're saying. I'm frustrated too. I just don't want this kind of population in our area for the future. If there's a fire, I mean, it's going to go haywire. I've worked in the fire department a long time, and we saw those things coming up. So I think you better go back and review this all over again, please, for the sake of our community and for the sake of your organization. That's all I could say. Okay, and perhaps and then you could make them feel better by changing some things. I know you met with the town, you met with the manager, and you met with some police officers or whoever you met here, but I do need to have some more answers before I have anything by May 21st when you come back. That's all I have to say. And I do appreciate the hard work that goes behind all this. I do. I've seen it, and I've been involved with it. But, this is too much for the citizens of St. John to basically start to absorb, especially at this time when their 401ks are dropping and they don't know what the heck they're going to do.
Joe, do you have any specific questions I can answer for you?
All of them that they asked you. All of them that they asked you, I want you to rephrase them by May 21st. Can you do that? He asked you some questions, and then I want to have all of them answered, and including the engineering questions.
The engineering questions will be answered. As I tried to say, Joe, all the questions and all the presentations and everything, those have been done, and those were done in front of the town council at the time of annexation. They're on file with the town. If anybody here would like to see them, all of that stuff is on file. It's all public record. It was all presented at study sessions, at regular meetings, and things like that. So I don't have those documents with me. I do have a copy of that. That's public record. Anybody that would, I've got a couple extra with me. I have no objection handing those Anybody, that'd be great. I mean, I have no objection to that, but as far as the annexation documents that specifically answer the number of units, the type of units, the landscaping, all those type of
Are
things.
they gonna change?
No, those are on file with the town.
Are they gonna change eventually if you start to the development?
No, that's under, an annexation agreement is basically a contractual agreement with the town, annexation, where we are going to do this, and this, and that's it.
No, that's it, that's true, you can't change it. It's
I can't change it, so, but that is on file with the town.
I know. I just wanna make sure that the people.
Now, the engineering, I actually request to be deferred because I agree with you.
And
There
that-
are too many outstanding engineering questions. I'm not even asking the board for primary plat approval tonight. I'm asking to be deferred to the next meeting where all those engineering questions will be answered, but the primary plat, this plat that is up there tonight, is going to remain unchanged. This is the development plan that was approved, and we are following it to a T.
What year was it approved?
It was
24?
24.
2024?
Yeah, so just last
The
year.
town?
Yeah, by the council,
town
yeah.
council.
Yeah, by the town council,
Okay,
yeah.
So the town council did it.
They did.
I can assure you, Joe, that when I reviewed this, I reviewed it at least half a dozen times, if not more. And when I reviewed it, it was in accordance with that annexation ordinance and with the agreement that was outlined in that annexation. So all the lot sizes, the number of units, the setbacks, the roads, everything, I reviewed it in accordance with how it got annexed in and the zoning that was given to it.
The folks, I gave them the rest of my copies.
I would have my copy too if you need another one.
I have it digitally, so I can
Yeah.
get mine.
And I guess, just so everybody knows, the plan commission does get digital copies of everything. You can blow them up to whatever they want. I guess, that was a question I know that came up.
All right, well, I think it's appropriate that we come back for the study session.
Yes.
Just, let's touch base on that, because there are so many items that are outstanding, just from the engineering standpoint. And then we can determine whether, May 21st or some point thereafter is the appropriate date.
You know what, Justin, since it was noticed, I think that for the folks here, I think that you have to defer it to a definite date, so they know when to come back if they would like.
Right.
No,
If you could. I mean, I just don't want anybody to not to know the date.
I'm just talking about our workflow process, where I think that would be appropriate for
Oh, I'm
all of us up-
coming back to a study session for you,
all of us up
absolutely,
here.
yes.
With that, I think the appropriate motion would be a motion to defer to May 21st.
I'll make a motion to defer, to close the public hearing and defer this item to the May 21st meeting, and it shall also appear at the May 7th study session.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Emschway. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. We have a plan. Thank you. All right.
I think I'm the next one, too. So-
You are the next one. I was just going to let anybody, members of the public know, if you'd like to stick around, we are done with the hearing and the setting on that. We are going to move on to other business. Agenda item number 6, request to publish, item A, 2025-10, Park West, petition to amend the zoning map of the St. John, Indiana Plan Commission's jurisdictional area by reclassifying from C2 district to PUD district, located at Calumet Avenue and approximately 193.5 feet south of 101st Avenue. Mr. Kelp.
That is my, yes, my request would be to request permission to advertise for the May public hearing. I'm for a zone change for Park West, which is, from the study session, the southwest quadrant of 101st and Calumet, right over there across from St. John Commons, which is currently under construction, where the Great American Bagel's at and all that, so. Went to one study session, I would be hesitant, I'm gonna be here May 7th. Be happy to go through the study session again with you folks, so, prior to the public hearing.
Okay. With that, I appreciate that offer, and then I think the motion would be to grant the request to publish.
I'll make a motion to grant his request to publish.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Vogel. All in favor, so indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And you're on the agenda for that. Item number 7, new or old business. I see nothing on there.
Nothing to present for new or old business.
Agenda item number 8, public comment. Come on up.
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane. I'll try to be quick. Over the next 2 weeks, I'd like you to talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends that live in St. John, and ask them what they want in this town. I'm sure they're going to say better parks, more places to shop, more restaurants. I bet you not one says, we want more townhouses. So next month, when you consider the townhouses on Calumet Avenue, tell the developer, no, we want commercial. I mean, zone commercial, specific, perfect spot for commercial. It's right off an intersection. But I know staff's going to say, but he's given us a spot for a fire station. Big deal. He could still give you the fire station and do commercial. He's doing a downtown area for us, right? He could sure do a commercial area up there. If not, the town's, again, has given this developer $6.5 million. You can afford then to go out and buy a 2-acre site, then no strings attached for a fire station. Or you got 40 acres at White Oak and 109th. Put it in there someplace. But food for thought. Don't get rid of our commercial areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Joyce Dittman, 2 T's, 2 N's, 7401 West 92nd Lane, Crown Point, Indiana. I have a question. I don't know whether anybody can answer it, but according to Mr. Kill, when he was presenting this, he says, this plat is not going to change. It was approved by the town council. If all this is, apparently it kind of sounds like him, it's an all said and done deal, then why didn't we, the homeowners and other people, get our registered letter? Why were we just notified of this now? Why weren't we notified of it at the planning commission so we can say something then? Because according to him, it looks like this isn't changing. This is what they're going to put there. And we got this letter saying, oh, we can come in and say what we have to say. But he's saying it's already kind of like a done deal, or this isn't changing. And if it was approved by the town council, I want to know, why weren't we informed then to come so we can, give our remonstrances or say, or have any kind of complaints?
I mean, that's a function of the town council and their notice requirements, right?
So it came in with the zoning by way of annexation, and I'm not as up to date on annexation laws as I am planning laws. And Adam, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but annexation's only required to be published in one newspaper prior to the public hearing for the annexation, and then once after the annexation is approved by the by the town council, it then becomes effective 30 days after the annexation takes place. So because the zoning for this came in with the annexation, it fell under the annexation public hearing requirements, which is different than the plan commission hearing requirements, which are plan commission hearing requirements is published in a minimum of one newspaper, a minimum of 10 business days before the public hearing, notices sent via certified mail to all adjacent property owners, provided on a list by either the assessor's office, auditor's office, a registered engineer, or an attorney's office. Signs posted on the property. In the case of this subdivision, I required 2 signs published on the property, and then the town has now started publishing all legal notices on the town's website. If you go onto the town's website and you type in legal notice in the search function, it'll get you to where all legal notices have been published for the town since July or August of last year. So it follows different public hearing requirements because it's 2 different functions by way of Indiana state statute.
Well, like I said, according to him, you get the impression that he's not changing it. It's not going to get changed, but yet we were only notified of this meeting. We were not notified of any of that planning when apparently that was annexed. And that was I'm saying, why didn't we get our certified letter then?
because annexations don't require certified mails, they just require notice in newspaper, and that's set by
So is
state
this the way
statute.
they do it? They go have annexation and the planning so they can get everything done, so when you have an open meeting like this and we get our notifications, and we come and we tell what we don't like about it, nothing can be done because it's already approved. That I don't think is very, very fair to the people who, like I said, who got these letters saying, it feels like you're coming here and nothing is going to be listened to because according to him, this is the way it's going to be and it's not going to get changed.
Okay, anyone else for public comment? Briefly, please.
Actually, from my experience, I don't think a annexation agreement can include specific zoning unless there's a specific zoning hearing held before the agreement's approved.
I'm her husband.
Still, I'm aware, yes.
Here's the part that I really don't understand. This is a planning commission, and here you're supposed to discuss the planning of these things. And I understand, I can kind of get what you're saying about the annexation rules. But what I don't understand is how can they submit a building proposal like that as part of an annexation without it getting properly reviewed by the planning commission? It seems to me that that is out of order and it's not the appropriate workflow. And in addition to that, like my wife says, it stinks and it's unfair. So how can, explain to me how that plan can get through as part of an annexation without input from the planning commission? Is there an explanation for that? Isn't there some town rule that says this is the way that the flow of a subdivision plan must go through? Because it looks like something was shortcut here.
The only thing I would say is that because the land came in, it was not within the corporate limits of St. John, and I'll let our planning administrator or our attorney speak to this. Because it came in through annexation, that's a different process. If this piece of property was part of the corporate limits of the town of St. John, there would have been a different process, right?
It would have
It would have had to come to us first, to your point. It would have had to. But this was of a different nature because it was not within the corporate limits of St. John. So in the applicant being asked to be annexed to be part of the town of St. John, that was how it came through as far as the process.
I can understand that for the acquisition of the land and also for the zoning. I can understand that, and that to a certain extent makes sense. But here, you have a fully developed neighborhood based on rules that they set up, and they change, the town council says, I'd like to be annexed by you so I can build this without any kind of planning. And I assume you all have your expertise in planning that never had any input into that. I just don't understand how that can be allowed. I really don't. I mean, it's almost like he knew that you wouldn't approve things the way it was done, so he put together this situation so that he can get it approved, build what he wants, the way he wants, get all that up front, and screw the people.
Yep.
I mean, and I know this is not necessarily can there be some regulation in place to prevent this from happening again? Because, I mean, things are bad enough without a plan. And that's what I'm seeing here, that there was no plan here. It was, he had a plan, and he figured out a way to get into St. John without having that plan scrutinized and improved or can even considered by the public. And I don't think that's a good way to treat the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, agenda item 9, adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion by Mr.